Is lit. Wait, what? Just let me know. Oh, so
Good.
go ahead and
Fine.
start.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's good, y'all?
Hey.
I am Claude Gaston. A lot of people call me CJ, and I am a professional audio engineer. I work at Paramount Recording Studios. I've been there for 9 years now. Graduated from MI in the AE program in 2014 and got hired at Paramount February 2015, and I've been there ever since. So basically, um, I'm not gonna do a lot of Pro Tool stuff. I'm gonna do a little Pro Tool stuff, but I'm gonna give y'all like how it is to live in this life as an audio engineer, because it definitely changes your life. There are things that you might want to know, just to survive. So yeah, that's my presentation today.
All right.
Hell yeah, behind the comp. You see they made a little nice little thing for me. Yeah. So okay. Um oh, and let me say, I've worked with a lot of people. I've worked with like Ray J, Nipsey, I worked with Blast, Nelly, Chris Brown, a lot of people over the years. It's been um but Paramount is predominantly a hip hop and R&B studio, so it's been mostly that. But we've seen people like Britney Spears, Katy Perry, and this is throughout my whole I started as a runner, I went to assistant engineer and then went to recording engineer. And then I do mix and master sometimes. Yeah. So I'm gonna just start with the way that I came up as an audio engineer, which was in a commercial studio. Give y'all some of the rundown of that process, and yeah. Um, so the benefits of a commercial studio: celebrity clientele. You get celebrity clientele like off the bat. If you're working at a Paramount, at a Conway, at a Westlake, um, you're. I remember. So I got hired at Paramount as a runner, 2014, 15. And the first assignment they gave me, they were like, here, go take a run for our client in Studio B. I walk into the room, it's Tyler, the creator. I'm like, the fuck? like what? And the thing is, I wasn't starstruck. I was just, I didn't expect it. But yeah, so that's a benefit. Commercial studios have mixing boards and outboard gear, which mixing boards and outboard gear, they are getting kind of old school. But in this business, the more it's better for your career, because I've seen OGs. Well, they kind of consider me an OG now, but I've seen OGs older than me that have to get called in to work on tape machines, and they're getting paid top dollar because there's only like two or three people out here that even know how to do that. So, the more it just helps you. You know, um, Higher pay rates at commercial studios. You get paid at least $10 more than at small private studios or at your own studio. Paramount, just to let you know, as a recording engineer, you get paid 55 an hour, and the rate goes up um, like as the years go by. When I started, the engineering rate was 25 an hour, and yeah, now it's 55. So let's see, solidified reputation. Paramount is known worldwide. Um, like, we have people from all over the world that come to Paramount. I remember when I was a runner in 2016, I went to Miami with my brother, and I hit up Hit Factory, a commercial studio in Miami, and I just told them, "Yo, I work at Paramount. Can I come through?" They gave me a tour of the whole studio, treated me like family, showed me Lil Wayne's room, showed me Baby's room, and it was just like, because Paramount has that reputation, um, and concrete results. Now, times are changing a little bit, but but commercial studios still, they give you the most like solidify you. You know, if you get a job as a runner as a commercial studio, as long as you keep your job, you will end up being an audio engineer. As long as you can keep the job and don't get fired, like you can make it to being an audio engineer. So that's a, some good things. The disadvantages, it is a long process. You're a runner for about 2 years, sometimes a little bit more. You're and then you get moved to assistant. You're an assistant for maybe 2 years, and then you get moved to audio engineer. So yeah, and then I've also heard at other big studios it could be longer. You know, some people run for like 3, 4 years. Some people assist for like 5 years. You know, it take yeah. So commercial studios, they do have that long process, but it's a little worth it sometimes. It just depends on how you want your career to go, what you see, what you have in mind. Um, and then the other disadvantage is that big studios, a lot of them are closing. I don't know if you've heard of Record Plant, but Record Plant was a big commercial studio out here, and they closed last year. And there have been a couple of them like that, just because the times are changing. People's pockets since the pandemic aren't as strong as they used to be, and a lot of record labels are going to smaller boutique studios to record. But there are still a lot of advantages. You know what I'm saying? Because new runners now that you still working at Paramount, you still working at Conway, and you get that guarantee. You're working with celebs, you're working with, these people know you now, so yeah. I'm gonna have time for some questions after a few slides, and then I'll open it up for some questions. But okay, I started as a runner. Just to let y'all know, if anybody is looking to go the commercial studio route, you will most likely start as a runner unless you already have celebrity clientele under your belt. Like, they're not gonna hire anybody that hasn't worked with celebrities as an audio engineer right off the bat. So like I said, as a runner, it's probably gonna be like a 2-year process. You have to have a car if you're gonna be a runner, because runners' jobs, you're a gopher. You're gonna be picking up food, going to get weed. They might send you to the mall to get some teas. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be cleaning up the studio. You're gonna be doing periodic cleanups while the session's going. You're gonna be opening and closing the studios. Like, Paramount they have 4 studio locations. They have one in Hollywood, 2 in North Hollywood, and 1 in Burbank. And the managers and owners are only at one location, in the one in Hollywood. So the runners are basically the managers of the other 3 studios. The runners open the studios, close studios, make sure the other studios run like clockwork. So yeah, be available. Be available as a runner, and this is your new life. They kind of go together. This is your new life. Like, they're gonna call you all the time. You're gonna be on the clock. Like, even on your off days, you have no idea how many dates I canceled as a runner. Like, I'd be on the way to pick up a girl. Paramount calls me, "Can you come in?" I'm like, "Yo, Paramount called me." I got it. Yeah, some of them didn't believe me, and yeah, so yeah, just be ready. Once you get that job as a runner, you're now in the industry. So just run with it. And night shifts, you got to get used to night shifts. Now, okay, so Paramount is a hip hop R&B studio, so I'm not really sure if other genres are working at night as much as, hip hop cats and stuff like that. But if you are working with rappers and they like to do overnights, and it's usually 12 hours. It's usually 12-hour shifts. So as a runner and as engineers, so you gotta get used to being up at night and get used to going for 12 or more hours. I've been in sessions with Ray J lately, and he goes like 18 hours every time, at least. At least. Yeah. So yeah. Big one as a runner. If you get hired as a runner, you cannot promote yourself. So if you produce, if you're an artist, if you're the best engineer in the world, you cannot go up to somebody and say, "Hey, I produce. Oh my gosh, for real. Oh my gosh, Busta Rhymes, I do this." You cannot do that. But if they ask you, you can answer. You know what I'm saying? If somebody says, "Hey, do you make beats?" You can say yes. If somebody says, "Oh, bring some beats in," you can do that, but you can never start the conversation. That will get you fired. Um, and with that, like you bring in some food, you can't linger in the rooms and like try to hear what's going on. You know what I'm saying? You as a runner, you're kind of nameless. It's a little bit bottom of the barrel type, but I mean, it's worth it to me because what you gonna be doing otherwise? You're probably gonna be working at a restaurant doing the same thing for people that you know what I'm saying, that aren't your childhood music heroes.
Is that through like social media too?
What are you talking about?
Like promoting, not promoting yourself? Is that, or is that just like
Oh no 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 no! You can promote yourself through social media as much as you want. Yeah, yeah. It's literally just like when you're there, you can't. If you see your favorite celebrity, you can't. Yeah, you can't reach out. Yeah, I actually got in trouble for that. Yeah. Luckily, Paramount liked me. I had been there for a year, um, and but I got removed from one of their studios for about 6 months because I went to DJ Mustard and I was like, "Yo," because I thought we had a rapport. I was like, "Yo, man, I'm a good writer, man." Like, then I get a call from the homie. He's like, "Yo, what you say to Mustard?" I'm like, like, yeah. So you just gotta be careful with stuff like that. Also, while you're a runner, keep your skills up because you are in the industry, but that's not what you're doing. You're cleaning up. You're going to get food. So you just gotta make sure that you keep your skills up and you're ready for when they call you for that assisting gig. Because as a runner, basically what happens is you start as a runner and incrementally, maybe like 8 months in, they'll give you your first assisting gig as a runner. And you'll do assisting gigs. And basically, over those 2 years, by the time you get to the end of your 2 years, you should be getting more assisting gigs than running. You know what I'm saying? So it happens incrementally. And yeah, so keep your skills up. Like if you're working at a commercial studio, make sure you get in them rooms and learn them patch bays. Ask the engineers that work there questions and stuff like that. So and then anticipate artist needs. That's actually a blanket statement. Um, as an engineer, as a runner, you know, if Paramount has cookies, if you know this artist loves cookies every 2 hours, have them there every 2 hours without them asking. You know what I'm saying? If you know this artist loves likes to ask for tea when they come in, as soon as they're parking, get the tea ready. um, Another little story, this girl Jenna that I used to run with, she's actually a superstar engineer now, but she in 2016, Kanye did Life of Pablo at one of Paramount Studio in North Hollywood. Me and Jenna were running, um, and he was there for about 6 months. Jenna had he rented the whole building. Jenna, as a runner, had that building running like clockwork. She was on top of it. When Kanye left, they took Jenna, and Jenna wasn't a runner ever again. Yeah, they took her, and and after that is history. Now she didn't even. I'm pretty sure she passed up the assistant engineer part. She didn't even have to. She went with Kanye, helped him open his new studio, and she's been an engineer ever since. Yeah. So if you on top of it, you never know what can happen. Yeah. So yeah, this is the homie. You know what I'm saying? No Noah. No Logan. Yeah, he a runner. See, he got the cookies. The cookies are famous at Paramount. So yeah. But yeah. Let's assistant engineer. So this is after 2 years or so of being a runner, you go to assistant engineer. Um, Now this is one of my most probably like my most complicated sessions that I've ever been in. Because you see they got a lot of gear at Paramount. Like I said, it's mostly hip hop and R&B. So as an assistant, it's pretty light at Paramount. You set up and troubleshoot. You set up mics, and if they have any problems, you help them troubleshoot. But what an assistant really in real, like if you're in rock sessions or if you're in sessions with a lot of instruments, you're the guy you're setting up the guitar, you're setting up the drums, you're setting up the drum mics, you're patching everything in. Um, at a commercial studio, the assistant's job is to know the room because you have a lot of outside engineers coming in and they might just know Pro Tools. They might not know anything about a big studio. A lot of engineers nowadays have never been in a big studio. Um, so your job as the assistant is it's like you get their mic flow, their mic chain going. You if they need anything like technical wise, it's kind of on you. You're also as the assistant, you're the middleman the between the runners and the artists. You're the middleman between the management and the artists. So anything they need, you kind of provide it. Um, so yeah, know the room. Oh, also as an assistant, you are no longer a runner, so you can start talking a little bit. That's when you can start networking. You can start promoting yourself a little bit. Use finesse. You know what I'm saying? Don't just go up to Cardi B and be like, "I'm an assistant now." Yeah, you use finesse, but like you can do stuff like say, "Hey, if you guys everybody ever need an engineer outside of here, let me know, um yeah, just start to get a little bit more ingrained with the people around because especially if you're at a commercial studio, you've been there for a couple years, so the one of the best things about it is people know your face now. You know what I'm saying? Like runners are nameless, but people remember faces. So they're like, I've seen you before. Like, who what I've seen you. You've worked here for a while, right? You know what I'm saying? So people are familiar with you. So now you can start talking, getting a little more familiar with everybody. Um, Sometimes as an assistant, especially with big celebrities, they don't allow you to stay in the room. They'll just, you set up, they'll call you if they have a problem or if they need some food or if they need something. When that happens, I would say keep yourself busy with music stuff. Because a lot of times you're just sitting around waiting for them to have a problem, waiting for them to need something. When I say keep yourself busy with music stuff, the reason is because you have no idea how many times like assisting, I'm chilling, and I'm sitting in the room working on beats, right? And YG's producer comes up to me. He's like, "Oh, you make beats? Send me something." You know what I'm saying? Like, don't just be watching TV. You know what I'm saying? Like, be working on your mixings. Oh, you mix too? Oh, maybe we should get you. You know what I'm saying? Because they're looking at what you're doing. Everybody's People are pretty observant in this business. Yeah. So, um, and then when you are allowed in the room, just like I said, you can start talking. Make sure you use finesse. Read the room. You know what I'm saying? Because even if you're in the room, you're not a part of the squad. So You know what I'm saying? Make sure you're not putting in input where it's not needed or where it's not wanted. But, try to get try to get some words in. Try to, make a little staple for yourself. And then also request me. Like, this is not a competition, but you trying to make money. So if you develop a rapport with somebody, it's okay at the end of the session to be like, hey, yeah, you could request me next time. You know what I'm saying? That gets you, especially if you're a runner. If you're a runner, and that's the way you get to that next step quicker. If you have people requesting you as a runner, but for your assisting or for your engineering, like, you know, ain't nothing management can do. They're requesting you. You know what I'm saying? So, and people don't know. A lot of times, artists don't know that they can request who they want. They'll be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, oh yeah, you was cool. Yeah, I'll request you." So yeah, so that's assistant engineer. All right, all right. And I have like one more slide, then I'm gonna open it up for some questions. All right, so recording engineer. Now this is when you are with the big boys. Now you sitting down in the room, right? The most important things to me as a recording engineer are speed, your quick keys, and your template. All right. Now speed and quick keys. How much time we got? Can somebody keep me on track? How, it's 12:24, so we have until 1. What is it? 1:30? Okay. Cool. We got time. All right. So, okay, let me tell you a little story. All right. So, when I was a runner, okay, sometimes as a runner, if you're good enough, they will give you engineering sessions, like recording engineering sessions. If they figure out that you're a good recording engineer, they'll give you, and it doesn't happen that often. You have to really be like pristine. Um, and in 2016, Paramount had just hired a new manager, and those are the people that call you for gigs. Um, and this manager hit me up, not knowing that I wasn't a runner that was ready for recording yet. And she said, "Hey, CJ, we got this recording engineering gig in F." She was like, "You want to take it?" I'm like, "I don't think I'm ready." In my head, I said this: "I don't think I'm ready, but maybe God's telling me that I'm ready." So I took the gig, and I wanted that money, that extra money. I took the gig. I go up in there, um, and I'm sitting in the session. It's in one of their smallest rooms, so it's like 10 dudes, like a bunch of people in this room. Now at this time, I was fooling myself because I didn't know my quick keys. I wasn't fast. For some reason, I thought I could just do it with clicks. I didn't know. And then to top it off, so I didn't know how sessions ran. A lot of times sessions start and people are just chilling for like the first hour or two, just trying to get their vibe right, right? Um, so they was chilling for the first couple hours, they was smoking weed. They was like, "You want to smoke?" I smoked a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I was high. I was high. and and I was in my head, I was like, "Man, I'm nervous, but maybe this is a session where they might not even need me to engineer that much." That's, I'm thinking like a dumbass. And after like 2 hours in that session, they're like, "All right, you ready?" And I was like, I was like, "Shit, this is my first session. I don't know my quick keys and I'm high." Like, so I get on the keys, man. I sit there, I'm clicking everything. These dudes are like, "Yo, what are you doing?" They was like, "Do you not know how to engineer?" Yo, it was embarrassing. They was like, "All right, bro, we gonna teach you how to engineer." Yo, embarrassing. I was like, fuck. And so they're like, "All right, click this, do this, do this." And they're like, "Oh no, bro, you still moving too slow." bro. All right, just get up, get up out the seat. So I have to get up. They're like, homie's gonna engineer. One of their homies sits down in the chair, starts engineering. I'm in this room full of people looking like a fool, just like, and then like after like 2 minutes, somebody was like, yo, you could leave. So I go to the patio, don't even go to the manager desk, and I'm like contemplating if I just fucked up my career, right? Luckily, the industry is also about being likable, and Paramount really liked me at that time. And they knew where I was at. They knew I was a runner. I was just learning. So luckily I didn't get fired. They were just like, what did you learn? Like it's like, yeah, but that situation pushed me to get my speed up, learn my quick keys, get me a template, because you don't want that to happen to you. You don't want that it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. Yeah. So and if you're in the wrong studio, it can kill your career. I got lucky. Like, so yeah, speed. And then your template, I also have on here, you see I have mix while recording. Um, you have to get in the habit of mixing while recording, because when people leave the studio, they're gonna want a MP3 mix that they can listen to in their car that sounds decent. You know what I'm saying? And that's going to, if you do a good mix while recording, that could lead to you getting a mixing job. You know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, I like his rough mix. Let's see what he could do with a real mix. Um, and your template is like what leads to that. Your template is, you know, what makes it so that as soon as you drop those vocals down, it already sounds good. To the next track, y'all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. As soon as you drop them down to your drop down track, it's like, yo, it already sounds crisp. Like, that's, yeah, people love that. People, that skills wise, that will put you over the top if you have a dope template. Um, and then we get into quick punch. Y'all know what quick punch is? Okay. So quick punch is very important, especially when it comes to speed. Um, and I think a good amount of genres record the way I'm about to say, but a lot of people nowadays record one line at a time. I don't know if y'all know that. A lot of people nowadays record one line at a time, and they record fast one line at a time. So quick punch, it just allows you to record on the fly. You know what I'm saying? There have been a lot of times when somebody's practicing their vocals in the booth, and I'm like, oh, they want, maybe I should record this, but I didn't get the first little half. But quick punch makes it so that as long as the cursor is going, it catches whatever they were saying, regardless of if you were recording or not. So quick punch, like so I recorded Soulja Boy. Soulja Boy is the fastest person that I've ever recorded. He literally is freestyling and goes line by line like in 2 seconds. He's like, all right, next line. All right, next line. So it's quick punch and speed, and all that ties into one. You gotta that, if I would say anything is most important, those are the most important things. You know what I'm saying? Like, in this whole presentation. Like, those are the most important things, because they will keep you working. Like, yeah. Drops and effects. Everybody knows what drops and effects are.
Can you explain really quick?
Okay. Drops are when when you hear a space a space taken out in a beat that helps emphasize the lyrics.
Yep.
That's a drop. um
Like volume animation?
Not, no, like literally taking a cut, a splice out of the waveform, a little splice out, like the fourth bar of the waveform, um and so that you only hear the vocals for 2 seconds. You only hear that last two words of a bar, that it helps emphasize the vocals. Drops and effects, they're like they're not like super dire, but they could be your best friend sometimes. Like, you know how you have no idea how much a drop, like a simple drop, people will be like, you do a simple drop and be like, oh my gosh, what did you just do? Oh my gosh. And it's like you literally just did a small little edit, but they think it's the best thing in the world. Like those little, and effects are kind of the same way. You know what I'm saying? You know, like the low pass filter effect, which a lot of people who don't know the technical terms call it the underwater effect, um, or like just different types of filters, harmonizers. You know, people love effects, especially in hip hop. But in every genre, people love effects. Now, in some of them, you got to be lighter with it and just, you know, do it according to whatever genre that you're working with. You know what I'm saying? Know who you're working with. But yeah, drops and effects. There, though, that's like when you're starting to build your sauce. That's when people are like, oh, that's his sauce, you know, like you get saucy with the drops and effects. But yeah, okay, communication is a big thing. Oh, also as an engineer, you could talk more, you could talk way more. Like now you're a recording engineer, people have started to trust you more as a recording engineer, so you can like always use finesse, but at each level you get a little more privilege to you know, to be like, hey, I'm here, hey, you could use me in this way, hey, I also do this. um but yeah, when I say communication, um communication is a little tricky when it comes to music, because you want to communicate everything that you're doing, but you don't want to keep the artist waiting. You don't want to communicate too much. Some stuff you just want to do, you know, just do it. The artist is expecting you to do it. Just do it. Um, and then also you have to get used to, especially if you're working in hip hop, and not only in hip hop. You know, say you're working with a country singer that has a thick accent. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you can't understand what these people are saying, and they're asking you to do something. And you have to that's just something you might just have to figure out. You might have to ask them a couple questions like, wait, say that one more time. But sometimes you just have to try to interpret what they're saying and do do it to the best of your ability. Especially, think about it. You have, so in hip hop, you have southern southern people on drugs that don't know the proper terms. You know what I'm saying? Just think about that. Think about that. Strong accents, drugs, and don't know the proper term. So you just have to get used to, like, okay, I think this is what he wants me to do. Let me do it. And 9 times out of 10, as an engineer, we get good enough to where we can like interpret it in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it'll be like, sometimes there are times where like, no, bro, that's not what I was talking about. And you just have to, that's where you have to actually talk like, look, what are you talking about? Like, but yeah, artist support, like I said before, you know, that's a blanket statement. You're always there for the artist. Remember, it's the artist's song and not our song. So whatever you think is dope, it doesn't matter. I mean, you do your dope stuff, you put your sauce on it, but there have been many times where to me the sauciest part is what they asked me to take off. And I'm like, man, like that was the best thing I did. Like, you know, and so, but just remember, it's the artist's song, it's their vision. So your job is not to argue with them. It's not to, it's like, okay, that's what you want. All right, I got you. And then all eyes on you. As a recording engineer, you know, there are times you'll have 30 people in the studio. And sometimes they'll all be behind you partying. Sometimes they'll be chilling. But there'll be sometimes when everybody's looking at what you're doing. Everybody is lit. Like you'll because sometimes you'll be in the zone and you'll look back and you'll be like, oh shit. You like, and everybody's literally looking at you and what you're doing. And you just kind of gotta be prepared for that. Cause to me, that's where some of the pressure comes in of like, oh damn, I really gotta be on my shit right now. Like, so yeah. Um, recording engineer. I'm gonna show y'all. Wait, let me see what I got next. Studio etiquette. I know y'all take a class on that here, don't y'all? Studio etiquette. But just to emphasize, y'all see the first thing is hygiene. Yo, oh my gosh. Don't don't go nowhere stinking. Like like take a bath. Like you don't have to smell like you're going on a date. Don't smell like you're going on a date because too much cologne could disrupt stuff too. But like take a bath. Make sure you smell all right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, show up early, you know, at least 30 minutes early, at least 30 minutes early to any session. As a runner, it's a little different because you have a schedule. But when you're an engineer, show up at least 30 minutes early because and that's not just to be professional, it's also because sometimes if you show up right on time and the artist shows up right on time, you don't know what you're gonna have to troubleshoot before they get there. Like you setting up, and sometimes at Paramount this happens all the time. Like I'm setting up, and for some reason I'm not getting any sound in the mic. You know what I'm saying? If I show up right on time and the artist is right on time, then now I'm spending 15 minutes of their time trying to figure out what's wrong with the mic. And that's never good. Especially because you don't know, it could be Cardi B and she don't want to wait 15 minutes. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, show up early, alcohol and drugs. Y'all know from that previous story, y'all know what that can be. So with alcohol and drugs, because a lot of times they will offer it to you. It's it's really at your own discretion, but I would say like, the safe rule is don't do it. That's the safe rule. But once you start getting a little more comfortable, after I got years in, I would smoke, because I knew I could do my job with it. But just don't get know your limits. Don't get drunk in a session and not be able to do your job. Don't get too high and not be able to do your job. um yeah, just know your limits. But be very discretional. Oh, and clients will get mad if you drink up all their liquor or if you smoke up all their weed, so be careful with that. Silent but deadly, that's basically, I've talked about that a little bit. Just like be on point. But it's not you're not the main focus, so it's not your job to you know always give your input. Don't flirt. Now, this is important just because, like, you might have an artist in there and they might have 10 girls or some guys in there, you know what I'm saying? But you don't know who's with who, you don't know who likes who, and you're not a part of the squad. You just got to remember that you're not a part of the squad. I mean, and you could I've seen people get in trouble. It's like, yo, he hit on my girl. Like he came at my girl wrong. Like, and you don't know that's his girl. So just be very careful with stuff like that. I don't flirt in sessions because I get girls, but I don't I turn it off in sessions. Um have fun, be social, but remember your job. That's a obvious one. Always be record ready. So like I said, there are times when you'll be sitting there for a couple hours and y'all just be having a conversation. But if y'all are sitting there for 3 hours having a conversation, always make sure you're ready. Make sure you're ready where if make sure you're ready just to hit that button and press record. Because sometimes you'll be sitting there having a conversation, y'all be having a good time, and you'll be like, "Yo, where'd YG go?" You think he went to the bathroom? No, he's in the booth waiting for you to record him. So you should always be ready, no matter what's going on. Always be ready to record. Um, Focus. That speaks for itself. The engineer is always the only one working. I mean, is the only one always working. So you do get some downtime, but managers, producers, artists be walking in and out of the session the whole time. For the most part, you're recording, and if you're not recording, you're mixing. You know what I'm saying? You don't really get a break. You know what I'm saying? You don't really get a food break. You might have to eat right there at the desk. You could get, little bathroom breaks, of course, or whatever. But yeah, for the most part, you're kind of the workhorse of the session. Um, and then don't expect courtesy. In the film industry, it's a little different. In the film industry, everybody gets to eat, but in music, don't expect the artist, if they order food, don't expect them to ask you what you want to eat. That it might not happen. Don't expect them to offer you a drink if they have liquor. Don't it Because that's not really, unless you're a part of the squad, unless you get picked up by a squad, that's different. But if you're the studio engineer, they don't know you. So they're not gonna give you that courtesy. You know what I'm saying? Unless now it does change once you start to know people. Once you start to know people, they're like, and you get a reputation, they're like, oh, I know him. I know what you want. Like, it gets a little different, but for the most part, still, people know me, and 90% of the time, it's like they don't ask me what I want to eat. Um, yeah. So, any questions right now? I know we went through a lot.
Do Avid certifications have any value from your experiences?
Not as a in music really. Avid certifications are more for film. So music, they don't really like. When I got hired at Paramount, they didn't ask me anything about that. They just honestly, they looked at the fact that I went to MI, um, that they liked my personality, and I had a little bit of music knowledge. Like, um, because they kind of expect you to do most of your learning over those 2 years that you're a runner. And yeah, so if you go into post, you might get more questions about your Avid certification. But
So I've been like classically trained as a drummer for like 12 years, so that
Mhm.
has value in like getting a studio position, or even as like a runner leading up to.
You can mention it, but it doesn't really have value. That won't really have value until you're an assistant, and you can tell a session that, yo, I'm actually a drummer, and then they might use you. That's when that will have value. Becoming a runner, it's like a regular job, what I'm saying, except for celebrities. So they just want to know, you might want to mention that just to let them know that you have some music knowledge in you. Um, but it's not gonna be the main thing that gets you a studio job. Yeah. But yeah. Any other questions right now?
Going back to working on music in your idle time as
Mhm.
an assistant, does that mean when you're kind of outside of the studio, like the waiting room, just having your laptop and headphones?
Yeah, outside studio have, and I'm gonna show you a little tour of one of Paramount Studios. Sometimes, depending on the studio, you might be inside the studio just in like a little lounge part. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just headphones, laptop. Yeah, don't go too crazy with it. Maybe not, don't have your MIDI keyboard out there. Don't, yeah, don't, yeah, like, but yeah, just simple stuff, yeah, like that. Um, yeah, but
How'd you
well,
find out about your job opening at Paramount?
I didn't honestly. I looked up studios in LA, and Paramount popped up first, and I went to their career section. It was literally God. Like I went to their career section, came here. Oh, I didn't mention this, did I? No, I mentioned that to them. Okay, when I found the career section, I was like, let me put in my resume. Before I did, I came back here and talked to the post audio person that was working here at the time, this woman named Solange, and she helped me doctor up my resume real good, to make it like, instead of it being like I worked at KFC, I worked at PF Chains, I worked at, it had a couple of those, but then it also, because I've been doing music since I was 13, so she just made a lot of the music that I already had sound professional and good. A lot of the music knowledge. So like put that on your resume, the drumming thing. Definitely put it on your resume, but they might not ask you about it. But it should be on your resume. So you should have some. You should like on your resume. You should have some of your music, a lot of your music knowledge, but a couple regular jobs, just so that they know that you can work a regular job. Um, but yeah, I just careers. But nowadays, well, back then it was probably the same, but you could just you could honestly just call Paramount. Look, you could call any studio and say, "Hey, are you guys hiring runners right now?" And they'll let you know. And they'll say, "Yeah, just send in your resume to this." And and when you do, introduce yourself. When you call, "Hey, my name is blah blah blah. I was wondering if you guys had any runner positions." You could honestly, you could even mention me. I mean, don't mention me as a reference yet, because I don't know y'all yet. But you could say I was at MI and CJ, and that'll just put a familiar name in their head, and they'll be like, "Oh, you was in CJ's class? Oh, okay." Like, and you never know. That might get you a little leg up. Um, so yeah, here, let me. This is just like a little tour of Paramount's one of their biggest studios. It's their Studio C. Um, Yeah, I've worked in here with Chris Brown. Nipsey did a lot of what was his last album? The one Victory, yeah, Victory Lap in here. You got the piano. That's where we set up the mic. Usually with rap, it's a U87 or a C800. It's a little side studio with some speakers where if people want to make it a little bigger thing, you got some the mic stands and stuff. Um, and then Yeah, I also worked with like Juicy J in here one time, Seventh Streeter. You got that's the lounge that you might be in if they don't want you in the session. Then you got the board. I think that's a G class, I think. SSL. Yeah, and yeah, you got the Yamahas, the 1070, or oh yeah, I mean the S10s. Um, Yeah, Patch Bay. Yeah, they got a bunch of outboard gear, but what's mostly used are the 1073s, the inputs. You got the CO1B compressor, 1176 compressor, and sometimes LA2As are used, but usually people don't even use outboard gear like that anymore. Um, but um, but they do always use that 1073 1176 or 1073 CO1B combination. Yeah. But yeah, and then the Osbergers. Um, yeah, y'all got the same. I wasn't even. Y'all got the same thing. That's what's up. But yeah,
So do studios not really have like formal training? It's just kind of you live the studio life and you learn, or
yeah,
mm,
that's how it is. There's no it's no formal training. You just you kind of just learn from the engineers that are there. Um, they give you a test before you become an assistant, but there's no formal training. Yeah, but a lot of how you learn is like say you're closing a studio and the engineer, like I'm in the room finishing up a session, like or sending somebody files, you just come in there and you ask. You just say, hey, can you show me how to do this on the patch bay? Hey, can you show me this? And most of the engineers at Paramount are pretty friendly. They're, yeah. So yeah, it's really just, yeah, you just have to take the initiative to, cause you're gonna be there all the time. So it's like you can talk to the engineers and everything. Yeah. What's going on?
Yeah, I was gonna say, when you were a runner, did you feel like you had time to work on like other projects or have side jobs like freelancing or producing?
You don't have that much time as a runner. Nowadays it's a little differently. It's a little different because big studios aren't as busy as they were when I was a runner. So you might have a little bit of time, but for the most part, I still hear that it takes up a lot of your time. You might have time to work on a side project if that's the only thing you're doing. Like you're running and you're doing that, and that's your life. You know, like I did have somebody hire me to do my first audiobook when I was a runner from Paramount, and it was literally that. It took that was all I was doing was running and working on this audiobook and running and working on this audiobook. Yeah, so it takes up a lot of your time.
So you
Like,
wouldn't recommend like doing like full time school and running?
no,
No.
they probably wouldn't even hire you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but right after you get out of school, you know what I'm saying? Just yeah. I mean, you could try while you're in school. I mean, what does it hurt? But it might not. They don't like, conflicting schedules because like I said, they like to call you on your free time. Like if they need you, they're gonna call you. And if you're in class, every time they call you, you might not get fired, but if you're available when they call you, that's what's gonna move you up faster. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, so now we're moving out of commercial studios. We're going to being a freelance engineer. What time is it? 12:54. Okay. All right, cool. We got to 1:30. Okay, cool. All right. So freelance engineering. All right. We have to do more networking because you're not in this studio environment that gives you a network. Paramount give commercial studios, they give you a network. Um, it's less stable because even working at a commercial studio is unstable. Like it's a roller coaster. Paramount has its slow seasons. Paramount in 2022, Paramount was slow for almost a whole year because they were trying to get used to technology. The pandemic had just ended and people were used to paying cheaper rates. Um, but as a freelance engineer, it's way let you. It's more fun if you get your clientele, but it's less stable. So yeah, getting the right circles. That's same with networking. Just make sure you gotta be out there. You gotta be at events. You gotta be telling people you're an engineer. Like somehow you have to be marketing yourself. Even if I mean, and what's the best way right now is social media. If you could get your stuff popping on social media and telling people you're an audio engineer and convince them to come work with you, you know what I'm saying? That's a good plug. And then payments. So another thing about commercial studios guarantee they make sure you get paid. As a freelance engineer, you will probably get taken advantage of at least once or twice. Um, because music industry, honestly, they're always looking for somebody not to pay. They're always looking for somebody to pay. Even the people that you think would would have your back. Like I don't know if I should tell. I'm not gonna mention any names, but there are artists out there that owe me like 2 grand, 2-3 grand. Companies that owe me like 2-3 grand because I went to work with them outside of Paramount, and they promised me they're like, and like any job, you don't get paid your first day. So I just took it like, okay, they're gonna pay me after I finish the work, and never got paid. So I would say as a freelance engineer, just try to take deposits. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a good way to go. Um, I would say try to get contracts, but even contracts, because are you really gonna sue somebody? That's really what, you can sign a contract, but are you really gonna? And then if you are, then yeah, you know, more power to you. But um, but yeah, you just have to be really careful with payments as a freelance engineer because you can get taken advantage of a lot. Um, and then as a freelance engineer, when you're working for a label, it is going to take about 6 to 8 months to get paid. So yeah, the first time I worked outside of Paramount was when Kanye left and went to start his own studio. I knew the management over there, so they started hitting me up for Kanye's studio, which he had different various artists coming in, and I did about 8 or 9 sessions with them, and it was a Universal with Universal, and it took them like 8 months to pay me. And the whole 8 months, you're like jumping through hoops. You're jumping through hoops. They're like, okay, first we need you to become a part of this payment, this online payment um, thing that we have, this website. We need you to register this. Okay, now I have to send it to billing. Now I have to do this. Now we have to do this. And it's gonna take you about 8 months to get paid from a from record labels. Yeah, when you especially when you first start. Um, if they know you, it goes a little faster. If you're like a seasoned engineer and you've worked with them a few times, it goes a little faster. But that's also another benefit of commercial studios. Like commercial studios, they front you the money before the labels even pay them. So say Paramount gets gypped and somebody doesn't pay them, they still front you the money. They still make sure you get paid. But and then private studios are growing in popularity because nowadays private studios, they're plush. They have the gear, just like I said, them three things: the CO1B, the 1073s, the C800s. They have the gear that you need. Like might have the three analog gears that you want to use, but they don't have anything else. They don't have the board, but they're cheaper. Paramount starts at like 120 an hour. Private studios, you can get a private studio for like 30, 40 an hour. You know, so private studios are growing in popularity even amongst record labels. Like, cause record labels are all about keeping their money. Um, some have staffed engineers, some don't. So you just have to kind of check around to see if you can get on. Like, I don't know if y'all have heard of Neighborhood Watch. Neighborhood Watch is like one of probably the to me the best quality private studios out here. They just been growing over the years, and they have they have like they have staffed assistants, and sometimes they engineer. So like Neighborhood Watch, and Neighborhood Watch. They kind of created a website where they have like 20 studios. Basically, they take private studios and bring them into their network. And yeah, so private studios, they're pretty popular. They're pretty dope. Um, they do have runners and interns, but most of the time at a private studio, it will be unpaid. Like at commercial studios, you get paid as a runner. But at private studios, most of the times you won't. But at private studios, if you are an intern, you will probably move up faster. Yeah, because at private studios, interns, there is no assisting. So interns mostly go straight from interning to we need you for a session. Yeah, but they do pay less. They pay less. Let me see, cheaper for the client. I mentioned that. Great equipment, no mixing boards. All right, I mentioned that. Yeah, so yeah. Let me know if anybody has any questions because we about to move on. All right. So the last things that I want to talk to you about is opening your own studio space, which a lot of people do nowadays because that's your own private studio. Um, and just things that you have to look out for. Me and my brother, we opened our own studio um, in 2019, and we had it for about 2 years, 2.5 years. Actually, we had two spaces, one in Burbank, and then after a year, we moved to downtown Los Angeles, and it was a dope experience. But there's a lot that I learned that I would do differently if we did it again. Um, and but it's definitely a viable option if you find the right people to do it with. So yeah, you got to consider locations. When I say locations, now I would who else is anybody here from LA? Okay, okay, okay. So like when you're from LA, we know a lot about Los Angeles, but I would suggest keeping your locations in central areas. You know what I'm saying? Like, East LA, maybe not, you know? Like, um, Inglewood's getting popular, so maybe you might want to be like one of the first studios over there. But just you kind of want a place that has a lot of people that would be interested and people feel safe going there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because and you gotta think about the kind of clients you might want. You know what I'm saying? Like you want somewhere that everybody feels safe, right? Yeah. You gotta think about rent, of course, is LA. You always gotta think about rent. Um, the size of the space, and that just goes into like what you can do with it. Our first studio in Burbank was like as big as that. I don't know how big that room is, but it might have been smaller than that booth. Um,
So I have a question. Are these commercial spaces, and especially if we're in a more safer area, like going west, like are we the noise factor? Like how do I make sure that I can blast in any time and not get any like complaints?
oh well, see, I got that on here
Oh,
too.
okay, okay.
Yeah, so like it's all about like the other tenants. Like if it's a bunch of studios, usually you won't have much trouble. And there's a lot of those out here in LA, a lot of buildings full of studios. And then like Burbank, they had sound ordinances. That was another thing that I put in. You got city rules and sound ordinances. Because and the building that we were in, the first building that we were in, they had all these actor kids that would be there during the day. So the rule was we couldn't bump music until after 5 p.m. or something like that, which didn't it wasn't good for the business. Like, telling clients, yo, we got to keep it low until like, you know what I'm saying? Like that doesn't work. So you just got to check on that kind of stuff. Different cities have different rules. Um, but usually it's really when you get to like Burbank and stuff like that. Maybe Culver City might have some different rules. Like the nicer cities are the ones that have like the different rules. Like downtown, when we moved downtown, it was yeah, it was almost like open season. Yeah, yeah, like um yeah, and the building rules, management style, you know, some managers are gonna be like on your ass about everything. Like so you have to be really aware of that. And then some management, they're gonna be cool. Like for instance, with our studio downtown Los Angeles, we weren't supposed to smoke weed in there, but this is LA. Most artists smoke weed, so you might want to like just look into how the management, like, yo, is it cool if, like, are y'all cool on that? And like the the Burbank studio, they were not cool with that. All our clients had to go outside. But the downtown studio, he was more of a, as long as you pay the rent on time, you're good. Um, So you gotta look at management styles. Um, like I said, the other tenants. Make sure make sure you're cool with the other tenants and they're cool with you. You know, if you don't want a weed shop right next to your studio, you might have to think about what the other people are doing. You know what I'm saying? Just yeah. And then oh, where is it at? Oh, renovations. Renovations. In our studio, we built a wall and a booth. This is actually our studio. I'm gonna show you a little bit more of it. We built a wall in the middle of the space to make it 2 rooms and a booth. Luckily, management was chill because we did not tell them we were doing this. We just did it, and but usually you would have to ask if that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because if you want to change the space, you know, yeah, that's just something you need to look into. And then make sure you have the right partners. And that was a big thing with us. That was a big reason why our studio shut down. Is because we did not partner with the right people. Partner with people that have knowledge, other audio engineers, people that are maybe a little business minded. I would say stay away from partnering with artists because that's what we did. But artists make no money unless their art blows up. So that's just a little bit of yeah. But yeah, opening your own studio. And then I'll show y'all a little bit. This was us opening our spot. Yeah, and it's fun opening your own spot. You know, you get to, build it up. That's the wall that we built in the middle. So that wall wasn't there at first. Um, see, I'm mopping. Yeah. Um, Yeah, it's just like we they had a bathroom in that room. That was a big deal because our clients didn't have to leave the studio to go to the bathroom. Um, yeah, so and then yeah, so this is how it looked afterwards. Yeah, so yeah, and this was an advertisement, so it yeah, the studio's closed, but yeah, so yeah, so I got just a couple more slides. Now, I've talked about networking, right? Networking and relationships are the most important thing about this business. Probably the most important thing about life if you want to get anywhere. But like you can get so far off of networking and your relationships. Just talk to people, go to events. I don't know if anybody's seen that movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Yo, I applied that to my life at one point because that stuff works. Like if you say yes to more stuff, it gets you in more rooms with more people, and now and especially in LA, you never know who works with who or who does what with who. And they're like, oh, you're an audio engineer? Oh, I got this client. And the crazy thing about that is even if it's not like a big star, there are so many amateur artists out here with a lot of money that will pay you to just do your thing. I've been flown to, now this isn't far, but I've been flown to Oakland, flown out of the state by amateur people that just had money and wanted to spend money on their music. Yeah, and taken care of. Hotel, what's was it per diem? Gave me money while I was there. Yeah, so yeah, networking is a big thing. Connect and reconnect. So once you get somebody's information, make sure don't bother them too much, but make sure you stay in contact. I mean, even if you don't have something to ask them right at that moment, just, hey, I was just making sure you're cool. Like, hit them up. Like, hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, I just wanted to make sure you and your family was good. They love that. People love that, especially in the industry. They love when you ask them about something that's not related to music. Like, yo, I hope you and your family are good. They love that because people don't do that. People are always asking for something. So it's like, yeah, just, stay, even if it's strategic, stay on top of that. Remember people. Yeah, remember people. Try to remember what they do, remember their names. Um, who's important to know? Everybody's important to know, really. But I would say when it comes to artists, our management, their managers and their A&Rs are all always really important to know because they're the ones that would hit you up if they need you for a session. So management and A&Rs are like very important to like kind of get buddy buddy with. Um, and then brand yourself, of course. Social media is put everybody on that. Brand yourself a little bit because that keeps you working. That keeps you, that'll make you more money than meeting people in person. Um, and then other ways to make money. Now that's gonna go into the next slide, which is my last slide. Um, other ways to make money. So, and okay, that kind of goes with think outside the box. Oh, go ahead.
I have a question. You said remember people. Do you have tricks on them? Like, I'm terrible at that.
You
Just like if you meet like a ton of people one night, you get there. Like, are you good at remembering names?
I'm horrible at remembering names. I'm great at remembering faces. But you just have to figure it out. Sometimes I repeat it back to myself over and over again.
And then faces, you just well, you're good at that.
Yeah, I'm good at faces. I'm bad at names. So yeah, sometimes I'll repeat myself back. I'm like, okay, okay, Roddy Rich's engineer. Whatever his name is, Rich. His name is Rich, Roddy Rich. Okay. Or I'll write it down in my phone. I'll write it down this session,
It'll help
this
with the
person.
Instagram, like if I have their
Yeah,
Instagram.
and that also, like, if you're able to
Maybe
get
my
the
deep style.
Instagrams. No, I feel that. Yeah, you just gotta honestly find. You have to figure out them ways to remember people because that's the thing. People will remember you. They will. It's kind of crazy how people remember you. Like people will remember. I worked with this producer. I forgot his name. See, forgot his name. I forgot his name. A big Brody Brown. Brody Brown, big producer in the music industry. He's worked with like Beyonce. He's worked with a lot of people, the Migos, everybody. And we I engineered a song for him in like 2019, right? We was and they put me in the studio with him again earlier this year in January. I walk in the room and I'm like, so one song with him in 2019. I walk in the room, I'm like, man, I don't know if you remember me. He's like, CJ. I was like, you remember? He's like, yeah, you recorded this song for me in 2019. I was like, what? Bro, like, so people will remember you. So it's like, and I'm not saying every time, but like it would help if like a good amount of time you remembered them too. Like, um, but yeah, but being in a commercial studio, it does get a little hectic because you're there all the time. You might have like you go through what 10 sessions a week or something and you're meeting all these people, but you just gotta try your best. You really just gotta try your best. um but yeah, and yeah, never stop learning. um think outside the box. New ways to make money. um an example of that is when we were in our studio, we did at one point we did a studio sharing thing with another engineer. um and it was this Latino dude, pretty buttoned up guy, like you know what I'm saying, like pretty nice, looking dude, like wore a collared shirt every time I saw him. But came to find out that 5 of the clients that he was working with were prison inmates that their girlfriends paid him to record their music. And it was just like, what? It was like, how did you even think of that, bro? How did you get that connection? Like, what? How did that even? But that, to me, that's like the greatest example of thinking outside the box, because it's like you never know. You never know where you can make money. I worked at Guitar Center for 3 weeks at one point. I know 3 weeks is a little bit short, but and I met some speaker reps, like Bose speaker reps, and some microphone reps, and those type of jobs are other jobs that people like us can get. You know what I'm saying? You just gotta make sure you're thinking big and small. Think big and small, because you never know where you can make money with audio engineering. You could record, if you've seen Hustle and Flow, you could be recording depositions for the court. You know what I'm saying? You could do a lot of stuff as an audio engineer. I know everybody's dream is to do music, right? But just to keep yourself afloat, you might want to have some other things, in your toolbox, just to just to keep that money, because like I said, it's a roller coaster. So when the roller coaster goes down, you need a few things. You might need a few of them little things to pick you back up. Yeah. New technology, of course. Yo, stay up on new technology and new recording. What's that band lab on your phone? We should all know kind of how to use that. It's like, if you you said, oh yeah, yeah, no, I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, so that should be something that we're all familiar with, just because knowing knowing how to record in different DAWs other than Pro Tools, it definitely will help you out, especially outside of big commercial studios. Some people only record in Logic. One of Kanye's engineers, Killhofer, he only records in Logic. He swears off of Logic, will not touch anything else. Yeah, so yeah, no different DAWs. Um, Faster recording. I mean, like I said earlier, but when I was here, I remember that one of the Pro Tools teachers, he taught me that if I'm faster than the people before me, I'll get the job. So you should be faster than me. I'm fast, but I'm not the fastest. Like, you should be faster. You should be speedy. Be speedy in that mug. New plugins, stay up on new plugins, of course, and new mixing techniques and new effects. Like, just stay up to date. Just stay up to date. This has to be this has to really be what you want to do. Like, you have to be researching on the side, looking at YouTube videos. They have like the master classes with Manny Marroquin. Maybe get some of those.
When it comes to like the effects, like with that underwater effect with that low
Hmm.
pass filter, you said,
Hmm.
what's the terminology with that? Like, if I were to research that,
I think a low pass
I mean,
filter.
like in general, like with the effects, like any technique, would it just be like mixing, not mixing, or recording effects or
I
song
think
effects?
recording. If I haven't looked it up on like YouTube or anything, but I think just recording effects. Yeah. Like if you're in Pro Tools, what can you use? You can use the one knob. You know what I'm talking about? You use that one knob. That's like an easy go-to. And it just like it does it for you. You can use lo-fi, if y'all know that plugin. That's a stock plugin, and that gives you that underwater effect also. Um, and just automate it. And yeah.
Clip effects, like
You
separate.
you said what?
You can separate clip
Oh
effects.
yeah, you can separate it. Yep, yep. Put in clip effects. Yep. And yeah, just yeah. And what's going
How
on?
do you stay up to date?
You just honestly, like I said, YouTube. I'm not a part of that master class yet, but I do plan on purchasing a subscription to Manny Mariquin's masterclass, and then other engineers. I learn a lot from other engineers. Like, I take bits and pieces from everybody. Like, if I see something that I think will help my flow and help my template and help my mixing style, yeah, I take it. I stole Ray J's template. I was like, yo, I'm taking that. Like I because if I see something, oh, it sounds better than mine, a little better than mine, I'm gonna take it and try to figure out why it sounds better than mine.
Can you
And
give us like an example of a decent template? And I know you have all your tracks. Are there you have your chains set up, your vocal chains already set up,
hmm
so when they record, it's already got the sauce on it.
So let me see. Let me see. Do I have I could pull one up really quick.
Plugins in your templates, or do you bring like an iLock with you, or what do you
No,
use?
I use Waves, Sound Toys, um, yeah, Waves, Sound Toys. Not all stock. Um, I'm not. Sometimes I use UAD every once in a while, but I don't have UAD, so somebody else has to have it. But you should at least get Waves. Waves, Waves kind of will take you where you need to go. Stock, you could do everything you need with stock also. It's just I feel like it's the newer plugins make it a little easier, you know. But let me see if I could show y'all a template real
So it
quick.
sounds like you work mainly off laptop.
Yeah, off my laptop or Paramount computers. But when I go somewhere else, I use my laptop. And I do that honestly mainly because when you when you go from system to system, a lot of times people have different plugins. Like you might have a different version of auto tune than I have, and so if I'm going from this computer at Neighborhood Watch to a Paramount computer, the auto tune settings are gonna reset or they're not gonna be there. So I just work on my laptop so that I know that everything's gonna be the same when I open this session up again. Um, and then I try to mirror kind of what Paramount has, just that's because that's where I know I work most of the time. So I kind of try to have the plugins that I need from there. Let me see. But I do use a lot of parallel compression, um, and we'll see. Yeah, let me just let this open. Oh, I might need the internet for this to open up. But I mean, okay, so my template, let me yeah, we might need the internet. Because Pro Tools doesn't work without the internet nowadays, right? I don't think it does. Yeah.
You probably airdrop it to there, or you can
Oh
just
yeah,
send
yeah.
it.
Oh yeah. Oh, see, no, this is wrong. Um, let's
You don't need Wi-Fi for AirDrop.
No,
Um,
just who my guest? You could just log into.
let me see. Oh, am I guest?
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then it's just it's good.
Yeah,
Okay,
no
cool.
wizard.
Cool, cool. Claude template 2004. Now let me see if this is. Oh yeah, I saw that. Okay. Well, okay. What we can do, I actually forgot to hand something out. What we can do is I have these handouts for y'all. and y'all can email me, and I can send y'all the template. My templates, yeah. This is just, yeah. So here, you can just take one and pass it down. Yeah. So my email and Instagram are at the bottom of it. And yeah, I'll email y'all my template. So yeah, my template is just made up of different engineers that I've worked with over the years. Like, and Paramount has a lot of success stories. So like one of the dudes that I ran with, he's been Metro Boomin's main engineer for about 7 years now. People that I've worked with, Future, of course Kanye, yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, and the dude, Metro's engineer, he started me with I got my first template from him, and then I've just been building it up over the years from there. So yeah.
So as an engineer, it's important to have a good mixing ear, even if you're not the one mixing the record officially. You still want.
Yeah, you still want to have a good mixing ear, just because, yeah, when they leave the studio, they're gonna want a good mix, and that is what, like I said, that is what can lead you to being a mixing engineer. Yeah. Okay.
Are there any big networking events throughout the year that you recommend?
NAM. Have you heard of NAM? Yeah. Okay, NAM is like the big music conference. It happens, I think, in February. January, end of January. Yeah. And it's just a big music conference. NAMM. Yeah. I don't know if MI has any connections with NAM.
Yeah, you can get student
Yeah.
access to NAM.
Yeah. 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 So
Is that sent out already and we can info on that?
That should, I think the companies are starting to get sign up. You'll know who's coming to the show, I think, at the end of November.
yeah. Yeah.
If you have any reps, you could reach out to them, or the school has a contact.
Yeah.
for that.
And network, if you go to NAM, network. I'm telling you, I've gotten free plugins. Like, yo, NAM, you just gotta talk to people, and you get a lot of stuff. Like, that's what I'm saying. All you gotta do is talk, and you get a lot of stuff. So, but yeah. Oh, go ahead.
What's your Instagram?
Oh, it's right here. It's on.
Oh, it's on
Yeah,
there.
Claude the God. It's at the end. Yeah,
Okay,
Claude
bet.
the
Hell yeah.
God.
Cool.
Yep,
Thank
yep,
you.
yep. What's going on?
Reflecting back on, come up to this industry, would you have done things differently, knowing what you know now?
Yeah. Yeah, because I have more knowledge now. Like, we would run our studio differently. I probably would have, like, a lot of the stuff that I told y'all is stuff that I'm like, I should have done this in the beginning. And now I'm just implementing in the last couple years. But like, remembering people, reconnecting, because I'm good at getting numbers, but reconnecting was always the hard part for me. So, yeah, there's so many things I would have done differently. Yeah. Oh, and yeah, if you stay up with me on Instagram, I have more stuff that I wanted to fit into this, but I couldn't fit it all in. So, because I've traveled with artists, I wanted to give a little. And I've been somebody's Lil Mosey's main engineer for a couple years. So yeah, stay up with me on Instagram and email, and yeah, I'll keep some keep information flowing. Yeah, and yeah, stay connected. You never know. Maybe I can get you a job at Paramount. You never know. You never know. Yeah, but I appreciate y'all.
Yes,
Yeah,
Appreciate
yeah.
you.
Nice to meet you.